So much for the SPR release bringing down oil prices. Crude back to more than 7-year highs. You got demand outstripping supply. You got geopolitical issues heating up in the UAE and Ukraine. And now energy stocks booming this year after years of being ignored or worse, just actively hated. So Tim, what to make of these stocks, these gains right now?
Fascinating on a day when Exxon, the biggest of them all, or seemingly has been, tells you they're going to be carbon neutral by 2050. It's also important, you know, I talked about 20 RSIs, and I don't want to make this a technical show, but the other side of that spectrum are energy stocks, which are up 20 to 25% this year and are trading at RSIs at 85 to 90, which means, again, that the momentum here, and at least technically, maybe even it's just the short term, they are overbought. But you hit what I've been saying, which is that these are investments, not trades. These are companies that have figured out how to be cash flow positive, and actually, even in a world where oil is significantly lower, you know, Exxon has figured out how to be dividend accretive at $35 oil, I believe, or so they tell us. So again, I think this is a really interesting place for investors to be investing. But look, you've had a very big move, and on the charts, look at a Conoco, look at a Chevron. You've got triple tops that go all the way back to 2014 on a couple of these stocks that I think might be a little bit painful in the short run.
Yeah, ConocoPhillips actually, Jeff, getting an upgrade today from Goldman Sachs. So they're starting to get some love, and that's kind of the point. You know, it was very easy to be anti-oil and gas and say ESG, whatever, when they were losing money. Now these companies are starting to make money. In some cases, maybe make a lot of money. I guarantee you, we've talked about it before, clients, investors are going to go to their advisors and say, figure out a way to make these ESG sensitive so I can own them, whether it's environmental stuff like Exxon said today, or board changes.
Yeah, it's very easy behaviorally to ignore a sector when it's not doing so well. And I agree with Tim, you know, maybe overbought in the near term, you get some consolidation, but I do think there's momentum there for a reason. And you mentioned sort of the supply-demand dynamics. I think demand probably continues to grow this year. You've probably only seen 2/3 of what was lost in 2020 gain back. So I think you have a situation where global demand can continue to grow. I think spare capacity is somewhat limited. And I actually think ESG, just from a structural perspective, ends up being a tailwind for commodity prices. You know, less access to capital, higher cost of capital. So I think you're going to end up having prices do some of the rebalancing here to entice more supply. So when you think about some of the E&P companies or oil services companies, you know, I think there's a pretty good setup there for a stock like Schlumberger, for example. You know, the setup to me looks really good. It's breaking out above that post-COVID high. And if you go out to 2023 earnings, only trading at 14 times. I talk about EOG in a similar way. So I think there are still opportunities even after the move that we've seen.
And you're setting up Guy Adami so perfectly with that Schlumberger. I see what he did there, Guy. I don't think that was an accident by the General Jeff Mills, just lobbing you a softball with a stock you've been talking about for a while now.
Jeff Mills makes no accidents. Everything he does is extraordinarily smart and intentional. And yes, I mean, I agree. Schlumberger, Halliburton, Tim's talked about that for a while. You just look at their revenue growth and their valuation. I mean, you can still make a compelling case that these stocks have significant room to the upside. And what we haven't even mentioned yet are the geopolitical risks that can make oil go even higher than they are now. And, you know, things between Russia and Ukraine don't appear to be getting better anytime soon. And I do think something could happen post-Olympics with China and Hong Kong, all of which would be supportive of energy prices. You know, I thought crude would trade triple digits by the end of 21. That was incorrect. But I think we're going to get there pretty quickly here in 2022.